You're listening to Shameless Feminine Speaks with your host, modern-day shaman and sister to all, Rebecca Haywood, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome everyone to Shameless Feminine Speaks, the only show on LA Talk Radio for all you shamelessly shameless women, men, ladies, and misfits. Yeah, that's right, misfits. I can speak English, misfits. All y'all out there who are ready for the feminine re-evolution. And as always, I'm joined by Shameless Sheena.
Hi, welcome. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, well, I guess I can't say as always.
I know, I missed you last week. I had a very important meeting, so I had to go be at a very important meeting at my church.
Yes, very exciting, important meeting.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. And I still managed to go over time even without you.
I bet you could go for hours without me. You could just sit here and have fun for hours.
I just might be able to do that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the room, it didn't feel quite as empty as I thought it would. So.
That's good. No, you're fine by yourself.
All y'all out there kept me good company.
Yeah. One day I'll come here and the studio door will be locked. The locks will be changed.
Yeah.
Just say I don't need you anymore, Shameless
That's right.
Sheena. I'm shameless on my own.
I'm Shameless Rebecca, all by herself.
Exactly.
Well, actually, that is a good segue to what we spoke about last week. The title of last week's show was Loyalty Begins With You. And I shared my journey of returning my loyalty to myself. And that journey, as all you all know, but Sheena may not, really, at the heart of that journey was stepping through that fear of being alone.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was kind of perfect because my story of returning my loyalty to myself began the day that I chose to become my best friend, which also coincided with a 3-day solo out in nature all by myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So no way to face that fear of being alone than to actually go be alone. And in nature with, no cell phones back then and no walkie-talkies, no nothing to call for safety, just me and life. And it was quite the journey, as all of y'all who listened last week. If you missed it last week, please go check it out. It's on our Facebook page, Shameless Feminine Speaks. And today I shared just the meditation that we did at the end. I did this gorgeous meditation, a recommitment ceremony with yourself. Mm-hmm. So we went through each aspect of our being, our body, our emotions, our heart, our voice, our mind. And, everybody found their own vows there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And so, the only thing I really want to reiterate and really hit home before we proceed with tonight's topic is that loyalty to yourself, that communion that you create with yourself in that loyalty in each of those vows, okay? That loyalty, that communion with self actually creates and brings back the communion to community, okay? So even though, it may seem kind of contrary to the invitation that we all left you guys in with restoring sisterhood, of kind of taking that leap of love, right, and going out there, right, that true communion with community requires a true communion with yourself, right? I was speaking with a friend last night. Every cell in the body has to do its job really well. It has to know itself and its place in your body really well. If it's stepping outside of itself and trying, like the heart cells trying to do the liver cells job, well, things aren't going to go very well in that body, in that community of your body, right? And even beyond that, in terms of knowing thy purpose, there's just, the cleanliness of it all, right? We spoke in Restoring Sisterhood about kind of what pits us against each other, that competition, right? And really underlying that is how we judge ourselves is how we're going to judge another, right? And what we hold away from ourselves is what we're going to hold away from another, okay? So that's why this communion with self is so key to truly restoring the sisterhood, restoring the brotherhood, restoring ourselves to community, in a clean, true, authentic, loving way, okay? Not just throwing on the mask, right? So reiterating all of that and knowing that, because we're going to be kind of going into more of these vows, okay? Not so much the vows, but into each aspect that we visited with in terms of our recommitment ceremony last week. So I want to dive into the body first because, really in my practice of being my best friend and returning my loyalty to myself, the body was certainly not the easiest place to practice, but it was the easiest place to notice the benefit, right? The return was immediate, right? I feed my body well, it feels good, right? Whereas in those other aspects of self, emotions, the mind, the heart, spirit, they can get a little confusing, right? It can feel a little less direct, or it may take a little more time. Okay, so that's why I really want to focus on the body. I also really want to focus on the body because it's the first place that we judge each other. It's the first, right? At first sight, right? First impressions, right? And for many, it's also what they judge in themselves first and foremost. That this body, we are so tied to this body, to our self-image as our true representative. That it really communicates what we are on the inside. And even though we know this isn't true, right? Even though we know this isn't true, we know that beauty isn't skin deep. We all have that experience gazing upon artwork, right? What is it that really draws us to that piece of art? It's a myriad of things. It's color, texture, shape, everything kind of mixed together. And yet there's something even more, right? Underneath all of that, there's the energy with which the artist painted that piece, right? Either the message they wanted to convey or the message that they were holding while they were holding that paintbrush, right? We are communicating so much more than what is face value through the artwork of our body. And that's how I view the body is, one of my canvases, right? The mind is another canvas, okay? And my life is another canvas. But my body is a canvas. It's also the temple, right? It's the temple for my spirit. And so in that way, yeah, I adorn my temple like sacred artwork, okay? And I take that time. I make a practice, of puja, of self-love, a ritual of self-love. Okay. Now, of course, I don't have time for that every day, but whatever.
No time for puja?
Not every day, not with that kind of care. And yet, throwing on my jeans and my t-shirt, like, hey, that's sacred to me too. And that's just as beautiful as I put a little effort in today. I don't think you can tell out there, but I put braids in my hair. I got three braids in my hair.
You look beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. So, I adorned my temple tonight, and I did it with absolute self-love and absolute loyalty to myself, meaning, I didn't actually dress for you guys. Sorry. Or you.
I didn't expect you dressed for me.
Or even the mirror. Okay. I dressed for me. I dressed for how I wanted to feel. I dressed for the color that I felt like. Okay. I chose jewelry based on, I have a weird relationship with jewelry. It's all kind of sacred to me. So they're all kind of power objects to me. So that's how I choose my jewelry. It doesn't necessarily match. Although tonight I think I did a pretty good job. Almost, kind of. So yeah, beauty. This is such a beast in our society. It is something that we value so much, right? And that we hold against ourselves if we're not measuring up, and that we hold against our sisters. I've shared with y'all on this show, on the Restoring Sisterhood, that's one of the biggest ways that I was shamed by my fellow sisters, was that kind of jealousy. I was joking with my friend Betsy the other night that I always know how good I'm looking by how bad or how many bad looks I'm getting from the women around.
Oh.
Yeah. The scathing looks. And, we were joking about it, but it is kind of sad. It's true and it's sad. It's unfortunate because, one, speaking as a woman that this society deems as beautiful, right? And that's a big point right now, okay? A big point is that society's standards for beauty, they change, right? They change. We all know this. Again, we all know this. Just as we know that beauty isn't skin deep, we know that society's standard on beauty, was so different centuries ago, even just 10 years ago. And tomorrow it could change and flip flop again, right? What I find to be really wonderful is that kind of athletics and health is really what's being presented more and more in media, which is wonderful, wonderful. And yet, remember that like society standards change. So what you're holding up against yourself in that mirror as you gaze at your body, at your eyes, at your face, at whatever it is that you're faulting yourself for and holding up those standards, it's going to change again tomorrow. So it's time for us to reach beyond the surface of that mirror, and really recognize and start to gaze at ourselves from that place of loyalty to yourself, from that place of sacred space, the sacred space that your body is, okay? Now, one thing that I wanted to kind of speak into, again, kind of jumping off of where I was most shamed by my sisters because of being couched as a beautiful woman. And meanwhile, on the inside, so I just want to speak for all the beautiful women out there, all of us who are couched as beautiful women, okay? I air quote beautiful, okay? That, everybody, every single woman that I have ever known has insecurity, right? And what I was going to say was every woman has that ugly little girl inside of her. Not that little girl is actually ugly, but that's, we felt awkward at some point in our life. We felt ugly at some point in our life. Overweight, underweight, whatever it is, braces, glasses, whatever it was that wasn't measuring up to society and in our childhood. We all have that little girl inside of us. All of us, no matter how much a woman measures up to society's standards of beautiful or gorgeous or smoking hot, okay? She's got that inside of her, just like you, So honor that, like recognize that we're all in this together. We're all in this journey together. And although that sister might be couched as a beautiful today, guess what? Tomorrow might be your turn. So, and do you want those tides to flip? Do you want to be excluded by your sisters just because you're beautiful? Mm-hmm. And, the other thing for me, I really dove into my academics, specifically in reaction to the judgment about blondes, dumb blondes. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many dumb blonde jokes I heard through high school. And I had something to prove then. So beyond my beauty and my golden locks, I dug into my academics, and I'm a smart cookie. I'm a very smart woman. That's another beautiful thing about me. And so, I dove into that. And I still hear this today of that kind of assumption that just because a woman is beautiful or she puts effort into looking beautiful, that automatically makes her vain, that makes her shallow, that's all she's got to offer, And so, again, speaking on behalf of women who are beautiful, that's not all we are. Remember that, please. And men, please remember that. Pretty, please. Because, we smell you coming, in terms of that kind of skin deep relationship. Mm. And guess what? It's not what we want. And most men, at least the men I've had the pleasure of keeping company with, they don't want the skin deep either. Y'all might be visually oriented, as you say. But really, at the end of the day, if that conversation isn't filling you up, right, you're kind of done, right? What was once turning you on is not turning you on so much anymore, right? So all of us, we need to really, look at the skin that we're in, but look at it in a different way. Honor the skin that we're in, but honor it with different eyes, okay? So, I know, I kind of wanted to, I have a lot of stories to share about beauty, but I wanted to do one exercise with you guys just to get the ball rolling. I looked up synonyms and antonyms to beautiful. I was just interested. So I'm going to kind of blow through these here and just take them in. Alluring, appealing, charming, cute, dazzling, delicate. Delicate is beautiful.
Rebecca didn't like that one.
This tomboy didn't like that one. Delightful, elegant, exquisite, fascinating, fine, good-looking, gorgeous, graceful, grand, handsome, lovely, magnificent, marvelous, pleasing, pretty, splendid, stunning, superb, wonderful, admirable, angelic. That's beautiful. Okay. Beauteous, bewitching. We like that one.
Sure.
Classy, comely, divine. We like that one. Enticing, excellent, fair, foxy. Ideal.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that means.
It's supposed to be beautiful.
Whatever that means.
Yep.
Nice, radiant, ravishing, refined, resplendent. Good word. Shapely.
That never worked for me.
We both get points there.
Yes.
Slightly. Slightly
beautiful.
Slightly.
That's me. It's my picture next to that one.
Statuesque, sublime, symmetrical.
Oh,
we
God.
talked about that in the biological programming. There is a thing about symmetry. Taking, well-formed, again, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Adorable, agreeable, which I know what they mean by that, but they also mean the other.
Sure they do.
Right? They really do.
Yeah.
Beckoning.
There's a lot.
There's a lot, yeah. Prepossessing.
Oh, goodness.
Right?
That's a bit much.
Yeah, that is a bit much. Inviting. Acceptable.
Oh, you're acceptable.
You're acceptable.
If you're beautiful.
Effective. Now that's interesting.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So, tasteful. That was my other not so favorite one. Tasteful. Dainty. That was another less than favorite one. Dainty. Now, antonyms. Awkward. Bad. Coarse. We're in trouble,
I'm 2
Sheena.
for 3 so far.
We're in trouble. Crude. Drab. Dull.
Oh, now I'm 5 for 6.
Homely, horrible, inelegant, inferior.
Wow.
Inferior, insignificant, offensive, ordinary, paltry, poor, repulsive.
Oh, poor.
Poor.
So poor people aren't beautiful.
Yeah, poor.
Of course.
Repulsive, rough, ugly, uncouth, unrefined, disgusting, grotesque, hideous, plain, unattractive. Okay.
If I could fart on cue, I would.
I know, right?
In protest.
I'm with you on the protest, and yet,
It's ugly words. It's dark, ugly words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that just displays like how much of a human value beauty is.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with valuing beauty.
And it
don't get me wrong.
Beautiful should mean like essence of beautiful. Like you have a beautiful spirit.
Yeah.
But I know that's not what this means.
Right.
So.
Right.
And even delicate. I mean, I like a delicate spirit. I like somebody who's soft and on the inside. But that doesn't mean, a wilting flower in the corner waiting to be asked to be danced.
Dainty.
Please ask me to dance.
Dainty.
I'm delicate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the stories that I shared last week, in that experience of being in the woods for 3 months that led up to the 3 days by myself, was really, not having the mirror. Right? There was no mirror. And I, just that aspect of not having a mirror, so much of my judgment against my body dropped. And that kind of, I don't want to call it self-awareness, but that kind of insecurity, what do you look like? Just totally went away. And how I was relating to people, really was no longer in that realm for me. And to this day, I still I take the time to get dressed when I go out sometimes. But then I forget, you know what I mean? It's not part of my awareness when I'm out in the world.
Yeah.
It's not part of how I am valuing myself based on what I wore. I can feel just as sexy in my jeans and t-shirt as I do in a slinky black dress, because it comes from the within, and that was, the other piece of that story of being in nature and how that really shifted my relationship with my body and with my relationship with what was beautiful was, in nature. I really, was recognizing, wow, we don't judge nature, right? One tree from the next, right? The old half dead, half burned tree is just as beautiful in its own way to the one standing next to it, full leaves and blossoms and in its youth, right? I'm surprised age wasn't referenced on that list at all, but it's definitely a part of our definition, our standards, of what is beautiful. So yeah, this is the place to get back to, that place of really, like you said, recognizing the essence, because that's really truly what beauty is, right? And yet, how do we get back there when we're so consumed, right? We're so consumed, our identity and our self-worth is so consumed in in the skin that we're in, right? And I mean, even I had my own journey with self-image. After being raped at age 15, one of my ways of coping with it was anorexia. I had an eating disorder for a couple years. And it's amazing to me. I mean, this is how much our self-image, our beliefs about ourselves really distort what we see in the mirror. And this is true whether you have an eating disorder or not. But I was so thin, and I couldn't see that. I could not see that. I saw myself probably the way that I am now, and still that wasn't okay. And, thankfully I was able to step out of that. And it was really a choice. It was really a choice. And there was a time where it was a choice followed by action. And I really, for a long period of time, had to almost not look, kind of like out in the woods, take the mirror away from myself and or at least not trust what was behind these eyes. That the eye of my beholder was distorted. And thankfully, I picked up a boyfriend at the time, my high school sweetheart, lovely man. And, he really helped me through that. He became my mirror. He would remind me how beautiful I was. And so, in a sense, to get away from this trap of beauty is to actually embrace yourself as beautiful in every way that you can.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And certainly, my tomboy resistance to being beautiful, that started long before high school. I had a very interesting juxtaposition in terms of the story that was given to me about being beautiful. So on the one hand, my parents were divorced. So in one household, in my father's household, love you, Dad, I was his only daughter. So every Christmas, despite me being a tomboy, he would buy me a Laura Ashley dress.
Oh.
Yeah. And he knew I wasn't going to keep the thing because I wasn't going to wear the thing, but he would make me put it on, and we would take the Christmas picture.
Oh, like the kid from A Christmas Story in the bunny costume.
Yeah, and then we would fold it back up and put it in the box, and off, it would get returned, and that was my one of my Christmas presents from my dad. Okay. Yeah. So, I had this very, and he was very, very focused on it, and of course I was his only daughter, and he was just begging for a pretty princess, and I got the pretty, but I wasn't the princess. Even though secretly I wanted to be Dad. I really did. So yeah, he was very focused on that, constantly, take your hair out of your face, and like, oh, is that a zit, Rebecca? It was just very focused.
Goodness. Yeah.
Very
Hi,
focused.
Dad, I know you're watching.
Yeah, well, he's a love, and certainly has evolved into quite the spiritual man these days, and so I'm very grateful for his friendship in my life, and he's a wonderful mirror for me now too. So, anyway, at that time, there was Dad's house, and then Mom's house was a totally different story. My mom, she would put on mascara and lipstick and do that, but not with much effort. And she really, really had a thing about vanity. I was approached, I think it was middle school, to model. And my mother was adamant, no. When you're 18, you can make that choice for yourself, but I don't want you to become vain. And, I wasn't like crazy disappointed because I still was that kind of tomboy. And yet there was in my little heart, there's a little piece of me that was like, oh, am I that beautiful? Like, am I? They want me to model? How exciting, And so there was this immediate shame placed on that little girl that was excited to be seen as beautiful, right? This immediate shame of like, don't be vain. And it was actually just like weeks later, we were at some like Chinese food restaurant and my fortune cookie said something about being vain and just like sealed the deal. And so on top of this tomboy that was rebelling against her dad's Laura Ashley dresses, there was this shame about vanity. And I was really, really trying to pretend that I didn't care what I looked like. And yet, don't we all, right? Don't we all have, a love for our body, right? And there's nothing wrong with vanity in my book. There was a beautiful woman on our journey to Teo on this last journey. And I just loved watching her. She was the youngest in the bunch. And I loved watching her delight in her selfies and delight in her beauty and her outfits and her fashion. And she was just as delighted in her own beauty as she was in every other woman's beauty. She was pulling us into her selfies. She made me do a photo shoot on the river, It was great. I haven't shared all the pictures, but it was like totally like a good fun moment for me to just bask in like, yeah, let's embrace this photo shoot. Let's embrace our beauty. Nice. So there was such a childlike innocence to that in her that I just really admired. And she also equally was excited about the beauty of nature, of the waterfalls around us. So, beauty itself and even vanity, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's about, are we using it against ourselves and are we using it against each other? And is that all we're seeing, right? Are we seeing beauty with the big B, the essence? Are we allowing ourselves to feel what's underneath the skin, what's coming through? Or are we beauty with a little b, And is that really what we are giving such importance to? Mm-hmm. And so, if you find yourself in the beauty with the little b, find those ways to turn it to the big B, revisit your vows, in that recommitment ceremony, really sit with your body and even you can do that exercise with a mirror and do it eyes open. And whether you're little b beauty or big B beauty, do this exercise with the mirror. Really practice sending that love to the skin you're in. It's an amazing, amazing tool of transformation, doing mirror work with yourself. Okay. And speak those vows out loud. We did this in Teo, in the place of earth, which represents the body. And I had the women, we just gathered and I had them speaking the spells that had been cast against our body. And we were just speaking them out loud. And it was so beautiful because those spells, which, of course, were at first negative, started to shift to the beautiful spells that, yes, had been cast on our body, but also that we were casting now. And there was just this beautiful and very it was so powerful. I swear I felt the earth move under us. We actually had to sit down for a little while after this very simple ritual because we shifted something. We really shifted that script on beauty, that script on our body. Mm-hmm. So, do that for yourself. Do an open eye meditation. Speak the spells that have been cast against your body, and then start shifting those spells into the white magic, into the beauty, the essence, the big B. Okay. It's a beautiful practice for yourself. So, Sheena, do you have any stories to share in terms of your journey with, your beauty? And I know it's been, quite the journey for you in terms of embracing you're feminine and feeling feminine.
Yeah, I mean, not as much of a journey for me. I think more of a journey for you, interestingly enough. I was raised by my mother, and my mom was kind of like, I think she would have been happy if she had just been a brain in a jar. Like, I don't know that she thought bodies were that necessary, although she was much more beautiful than me and had been, very, very thin and very athletic as a young person, which I never have been either of those things. So I was sort of raised that aesthetics were sort of what people who hadn't done their spiritual work were obsessed with. So I was never that obsessed with my aesthetics until I became, high school age and started realizing that I wasn't this enough and I wasn't that enough. And the first place it really hit me was in acting. I mean, sure, when I was younger, I liked guys and they liked my friends, but it really hit me in acting where it was always like, oh no, you can't play that role because you're not pretty enough. And I would think, but I can act a circle around anybody you're picking for. Well, that's true, you can, but only pretty girls get to play these roles. So, as an Aries, I always say you can do what you want to me in my private life. When you hit my career, that's when I notice. That was when I really began to get programmed that I was different. And that followed me into physical relationships, sexual relationships. I was always never anybody's first pick. It was always, well, I overlook your looks because you're so wonderful. I want to be in a relationship with you. And I guess I just sort of thought that was how it was and how it was always going to be for me. And that I was always going to be not enough of something and too much of something else. And, not ugly enough to be pretty, too ugly to be pretty, and too pretty to be ugly. And I never seemed to fall in any of the right places. And then I hit a wall really in my late 40s when I got out of a very abusive relationship with somebody who I constantly, no matter what I did, I was ugly and my mom addressed me funny. Nothing was ever right about me. My shoes were wrong. My clothes were wrong. My makeup was wrong. I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know how to do that. But I was with a very narcissistic person who had sort of mirrored their self against what they thought media wanted them to be. And there was really nothing going on inside of there. And when I hit that wall, and then after my mom died and I hit the wall of ending my toxic relationship with the entertainment business and deciding I wasn't going to participate in that sort of codependence anymore in relationships with people and in relationships with career. That was when I realized that all along, I kind of loved the way I was. And I just let others make me feel like it wasn't enough. So now if that little voice says, should you wear that? I think, no, that's exactly what I should wear. And that's exactly what I should do. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I don't listen to that voice anymore, the voice of other people that built up inside my psyche that said, well, you shouldn't wear that, or you shouldn't wear pants there. You shouldn't wear a pink skirt here. You don't look tough enough. You look too much like you're from Connecticut and you're not in Connecticut now. Why do you wear this? Why are you so preppy? Why do you wear that? Why do you wear pink? Now I just wear what I want to wear. And if people don't like it, honestly, they don't have to have anything to do with me. I don't even give it a thought anymore. And when people start to, and I've been in situations, up to very recently in my purge of people in the culling, where people have said, you don't wear enough makeup, or you're not enough of this, you're not enough of that. And I think, oh, isn't that lovely? You're not who belongs in my life. And now I'm moving away. So I've really begun to sort of, as I've gained more and more respect for myself, to choose the people in my life based on the kind of respect they have for themselves. And to me, anybody who has a firm sense of identity and a respect for themselves would never tell anybody else, you're not enough because you have the wrong color eyeliner on. So it's really shown me who were my people and who weren't my people. And I'm not your typical woman. I mean, I think if you had to pick the girl next door and it was between me and Rebecca, probably most people would pick Rebecca. And that's okay. I know that I'm different. I'm the off-color one. I'm the sidekick. But that's okay because I love who I am. I don't have any urge to be any different. And any choices I've made in my life at this point are just made for health and not because somebody told me I was less than, because I don't think I'm less than.
Well, I mean, I definitely don't agree that, it would be to assume that one would pick me over you, because I've been
Come on, you got braids in your hair. You're the girl next door.
Okay,
Can I borrow a cup of sugar?
Maybe, if they're really into braids, like I do have 3 braids right now. So, But, really, I mean, I've been all different shapes and sizes, well, not so much different shapes, just different sizes of the same shape. I'm blessed in that way.
Me too.
My curves just get bigger. But
I go from watermelon to pear.
Yeah.
It just depends on where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm kind of an avocado.
Yeah. I mean, I've been overweight. I've been underweight. I've had braces. I had this terrible contraption put in my mouth when I was younger that had to, because I had a tooth. This tooth grew in the roof of my mouth, like at the very center of the roof of my mouth.
Goodness.
Yeah. And then they had to put this terrible contraption that spread my palate apart. So I had this big gap between my teeth, 6th grade. And then they put spacers to open it here and move that tooth into place. So
wow. Did you have to wear like a neck gear?
No.
That wrapped around your head?
No, I didn't, thankfully. But this thing was enough, and it was so painful. And anyway, the point is,
and still they wanted you to model.
No. That was after.
We want her. We want Snaggletooth to model.
That was after the snaggle teeth got fixed. But the point is, I've been different versions of this body. Okay.
Sure.
And, the attention that I get, that I have gotten, it's not based on what I look like. It really isn't. I mean, I'm sure some of it is, all right? I'm sure, of course, let's not lie. And yet, truly, it's, when I'm embodied, when I'm loving myself and I'm walking with that self-love, there's a certain strut to that. There's a certain sensuality that I'm inhabiting in my own body because I'm in love with my body.
Yes.
I'm in love with myself. And that's really what they're attracted to. The flower, but there's the scent of the pollen, right? And that's really what's emanating and what's truly attracting them. So I've had just as much attention from men, overweight, underweight, or just as I am, in jeans and a t-shirt or dressed up, And so to me, I feel that there's something that, attracts us to a person. And it's not all about the skin deep. It's
I
not
agree.
all about
I totally agree. A lot of it is energetic resonance, pheromones. It's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's not just about the way someone looks.
Yeah, the way someone smells. It's really the pheromones.
Yeah, and the energy. Sometimes you just feel energetically very drawn to someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, with men, it's really not about what they look like.
It's never about what someone looks like to me.
Yeah.
I could care less.
It's a lot of things, but it's that essence thing. And I'm either drawn to that essence of them or not, and sometimes it takes me a moment to believe myself, you know what I mean? Because they sound really promising, but, when I really trust that gut inside of me, it's like I'm either drawn or I'm not. So, really, truly, we all know this, and it's time that we start behaving this way, that beauty is not skin deep and that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And, as Sheena said, if someone's not respecting you because that's they're just gauging based on skin deep and they have an opinion about that, you have complete permission to walk away. That might be the most loyal thing to you. And yet, I know for me, kind of living on the flip side of that, of being judged, well, I suppose I was probably judged for not wearing makeup plenty of times.
And nobody wanted to within
even
a
in the
3-mile
Toltec
radius
community,
of their man.
They couldn't wait to get their hands on me. Those women in the Toltec
Isn't
community,
that strange?
let's buy you a new bra. Let's get your hair done.
Spiritual community, and that's all they're thinking about. Is it just me that thinks that's strange? No offense to your Toltecers that are watching, but I just think that's a very non-spiritual approach.
Yeah.
When I encounter someone in the spiritual world, and I'm the daughter of a light worker. I grew up with a light worker mother. The first thing I think isn't like, oh, she's so spiritual. I just wish she'd wear different eye makeup. I mean, who even thinks that? Who even cares about that? If you want to wear like blue caked eye makeup and, a Van Halen t-shirt and do your spiritual thing, if that's what makes you feel like you, then absolutely be my guest. I don't judge people.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it really was part of, I've talked about shapeshifting and as a tool, right? And so in this case, maybe not in all of these women's cases, right? But in some of these cases, they were really, and why I was accepting it was part of a shape-shifting challenge for me because I was so hiding my beauty, because this is the other part of the story that I didn't really share so much, that to me, I really thought of my beauty as a curse.
Sure.
of course, with all the sexual trauma. And I thought that the beauty was the culprit. And so I really looked at my beauty as a curse, both because of what it attracted to me in sexual trauma from men, but also in the women that it would repel from me, I never...
Was my eye roll big enough? Should I do a bigger one for a close-up, folks?
Yeah, exactly.
Should I do it with the whole head?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So offensive on a core level. Come on, girls, get it together. Stop judging women because you're with the wrong guy or the wrong girl who won't stop looking at other people. That's not your friend's fault.
Right.
That's your partner's fault. So look at your partner and say, maybe I need to, drop the dirty dog and stop blaming it all on my friends. I see it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see it all. I see it, and I see it with my clients in the work with my clients. They'll be, so sad. I'm lonely. I'm alone. Nobody loves me. I love this guy or this girl, and they don't want me, and blah 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 blah. And I'll say something about finding somebody who really is your spiritual resonance and your emotional resonance, and then they'll say, "Well, I don't want to date somebody ugly." And I think, oh, and there's your problem right there, because universe's eye roll when you say that. Bigger than mine could ever be, like a celestial eye roll that goes up over the sun, across the moon, and back.
Yeah.
Because really, that's what your idea of enlightenment is if the perfect person came into your life and they didn't look like a guy on The Bachelor, you'd be like, you need to grow, spiritually grow, please. I'm watering you. Please grow.
I'm watering you.
I got my little watering can out. I'm trying. The sunlight's coming. Grow.
Yeah.
And I've had the same thing with you. If you just wore this, and I've had it even with my gay men friends.
Not for me. I haven't given you directives.
No, not Rebecca.
Yeah.
You should take some boudoir photos. What in the world should I take a boudoir photo for? And why is that so important to you, gay friend? You should. You would just be so sexy if you put all your hair up on the top of your head like Carmen Miranda. It was always on the Carmen Miranda. This one friend. You should just. And I just seen this really low cut thing, and you're dancing, and I'm like, where? What for? What? Like just randomly, I put fruit on my head and dance for what?
I love that they had it all like
staged
it all planned
and
everything.
out. And then the boudoir photos where I was wearing just like a drapey sheet, and I'm like, for what?
Well, actually, this friend may have been giving you some medicine. You just don't know, because I had, I had to do a photo shoot for my website, and it was like a couple of years ago now. The new website is still not up, but we're getting closer. But I had to do this photo shoot. Ben Hoffman, great photographer. He's here in LA. If you need someone, he's wonderful. And I was a little like uncomfortable and nervous going into it. One, it was a man behind the camera. Two, I just am not that I feel kind of awkward. You know what I mean? I'm not a girly girl. And what am I supposed to do? And it was so amazing, the experience. And I ended up pulling out, there's some supermodel shots in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, where did I pull that move out?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And then
but every one of those photos is also you being essentially you.
Yes.
Those are all parts of you.
Yeah.
You don't have fruit on your head and you're not, wearing a dress made of meat.
No.
I mean, all of those photos are essentially your different looks.
Yes.
So they fit you.
They do. And yet I think it's great to challenge our sense of what fits us. You know what I mean? At times, I'm not saying and walk out in life every day is something different.
No, but I mean, that's what we try Halloween costumes on for. And costume, it's fun to be somebody you're totally not.
Yeah, sure.
As an actor, I try that on all the time and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I'm doing a photo shoot for a purpose like you did, I want people to be able to see my soul in those photos.
Yeah.
And my soul doesn't have a fruit headdress on.
Right.
It would be okay if she did, but she doesn't.
Right. Well, regardless of how you choose to play with shape-shifting in regards to your beauty, you could try on different versions of what you think is beautiful.
Sure.
You could, if you find yourself to be one who's very attached to what you look like, try planing it down, a little bit. Try that experience. I remember having one student on one of my journeys doing that. The assignment was to dress as your version of kind of what would be uncomfortable for you in the version of feminine, you know? And for her, it was just very uncomfortable to be plain, to not be the most dazzling, sparkling woman in the room. And so she wore like all beige and no makeup and, you know, didn't do her hair. And she was still dazzling and sparkling, of course. But so there's different ways that you can play with the shape-shifting in regard to your beauty. But, you know, moreover, I think there's more of us hiding our beauty than being attached. I mean, we're attached to it. Of course, we wouldn't feel the need to hide it if we weren't attached to it in some way, right? But I think there's more hiding going on. At least for me, I really noticed kind of like what we were talking about on one of our shows, Owning It, or one of our power
shows where we own it and gain power.
Yeah, another one of those
and our
shows.
Shameless.
But, you know, dimming your shine, right? And that was one of the things, like beyond viewing my beauty as a curse for men, it was like also with the women. And so to try and make them more comfortable, and maybe like they'll like me, or maybe these people will start to look at like beyond what's, you know, here on the surface, that I'll kind of dim that beauty. I'll hide that away. I'll gain 10 pounds, 20 pounds. I was 20 pounds overweight at one point. Just
20 pounds.
Whole 20 pounds.
The horror. I lost 20 pounds yesterday.
I don't want to ask.
Went for a walk and took some Metamucil. 20 pounds, done.
How did I know it was going there? We always have to get in like the bodily functions on this show.
I thought it was a very elegant way to discuss it.
Yeah.
It was very elegant.
Yeah. Well, you know, for a recovered anorexic, 20 pounds was like a big deal. So, you know, I was really hiding for a long time. And so, you know, my invitation, you know, either which way, whichever side that you hang out on, hiding because you don't believe that you're beautiful, or hiding because you do know that you're beautiful, and you see what it creates in men, what it creates in the women in your life. Let's stop hiding. You know, let's take our beauty out of the closet and really start to honor it with loyalty to ourselves. You know, like I said, do that puja, dress your temple, adorn your temple. You know, your body is sacred space. And let's start. This is just going to be one show of many that we're going to be focusing on the body, because there's a lot that we shame in our body. Okay. A lot that we have kind of locked away that needs to come out of the closet. And we really kind of shame that body. We have that body shame, and it goes beyond self-image. Okay. It goes beyond beauty. So we are going to be diving beneath the skin, but for now, stay with the skin. Love the skin you're in. Practice that mirror exercise. Do that mirror work with yourself. Do the shape-shifting exercise. Try on a different version of beautiful, or if you're used to being the most beautiful, try not being the most beautiful. See how attached you are to it. Start to really find that essence of beauty and start to notice, wait a minute, you know, like there's so much more to me. There's so much more to them. Okay. And, you know, in that Restoring Sisterhood show, one of the women that had kind of, you know, owned herself and apologized to me, it was about my beauty. And
I forgive you for being beautiful.
Yeah,
Rebecca.
I forgive you for being beautiful.
I forgive you.
But that was really beautiful to say. Beautiful. Here we go. Beautiful. We're just going to stay on that word. But it was really powerful for her and for me to say that apology out loud. So if you've been shaming a sister for her beauty, or for not wearing enough eyeliner, as in Sheena's case,
lots of eyeliner on
or
tonight,
for being
people.
overweight or underweight, or, you know, just think about how many times judgments go through our mind in regards to women versus men, right? Just watch your mind walking down the street, and that's how much you judge yourself, okay? How many times you have a commentary about what a woman is wearing that you don't even know, or how much she weighs that you don't even know her story, right? And yet that's one of the first things that we go to in the human mind in regards to women. Okay. So that really needs to shift. And I would say that actually, at least in my experience, in my friendships with men and in my intimate relationships with men, they're actually less judgmental of what women look like than women are of what women look like. That's my experience. Just saying, So it's time, don't you think? It's time. And let's really come out with our beauty. Let's really own it. Let's blossom. Okay. I actually want to read to you guys something that I wrote. A little poem. If I can find it here. And it really speaks to this aspect, and about owning our beauty, about letting our beauty shine, embrace it. Be vain. Why not? And then let it go. Dress in that mirror, dress your sacred space, adorn your temple, put so much love into that, and then let it go. Then just let it go. And keep shining no matter what, no matter the attention. You get attention from men. I used to really kind of be like offended by that. And now, it's a
by attention from men.
Yeah. Yeah. The skin deep attention, really be offended by that. And I'm not anymore. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. It's a gift that they're giving me. And, I don't have to fight that anymore, because I know that I am big, be beautiful. And whether they know that or not isn't important to me anymore, unless I'm seeking a relationship with them. Right. Yeah. So, yeah. And so this kind of speaks to that of like shining your beauty no matter what kind of looks you get from your sisters. Keep shining, because, I get the lesson in terms of walking away from people that aren't respecting you, that are just only focusing skin deep. But there's also a medicine that we can bring to the sisterhood and that we can bring to the planet right now in terms of inhabiting ourselves and inhabiting our beauty, embracing our beauty, and letting that shine no matter what. Okay? Because that's going to encourage them to recognize and to know and to remember that beauty isn't skin deep, and that beauty, big beauty, that big B beauty is so much more, so much more. And you inhabiting that. And, that was a big part of my journey in the Toltec community, despite those women focusing on my beauty and how that might sound. It was really healing for me to also turn around and see these very spiritual women who really took time to look good, and they looked good. There's that goddess, embrace your goddess, adorn her, go with it. Okay, go with it. So I do want to hear from you all. So please, everything that we've shared today, I want to hear your comments. And I'm curious where this poem kind of takes you. So it's called Bloom Early. Bloom early, bloom endlessly, be wild, be bountiful, be you, every color of you, tufted rainbow hues of you, shamelessly scented with life, for life, attracting more life, eating more light, full, filling, unwieldy beauty, unyielding beauty, for they dare not pluck, they dare not fuck. How can they? Take what is not theirs, shake what is not loose. These petals command the wind and rise the tides. No time to stop. This bloom made the sun. They may not stop to smell you or even see you, but if they do, they will have no choice but to be filled. Your saturation is what suffuses. Your abundance is what bears. Your shameless scent of love inhabits their very air. And the sun that you make is what It's
beautiful.
So I hope that inspires you all to bloom early, often, endlessly.
Shamelessly.
Shamelessly. Be beautiful, my friends. You are beautiful, no matter what your skin. You are beautiful. and dress that temple. Love it, love it, love it with such loyalty to yourself. Dress for yourself and no one else. Make that your practice all week. And I guarantee things will start to shift for you in a big, be beautiful way. Okay? So I love you all, no matter what you look like. And as always, I'm available for private sessions, and I always climb onto the chat room and respond to your comments there. So you're welcome to post questions there or private message me at ispeak@RebeccaHaywood.com is my email. My website is RebeccaHaywood.com. And then you can find me on social media pretty much everywhere as Shaman Sister. And Sheena's also available for private sessions.
I love you, and I don't even care what you look like. I don't even notice. I just love the way your heart feels. So I'm at IamRaisingYourVibration.com and SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. And I'm all over social media, just at Sheena Metal. I think I'm probably the only one that there is. And I love you all, and I love you, and I'm honored to be here with you every Tuesday night. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, I love you too. I love you too, doll.
I love you too, baby.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time. Same bat channel, 7 p.m. Tuesday. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.
You're listening to Shameless Feminine Speaks with your host, modern day shaman and sister to all, Rebecca Haywood, right here on LA Talk Radio.